2016 was a very controversial year for video game censorship, and seemingly every month headlines would pop up of new games being banned, games from Japan having provocative content toned down in the West, and even games being altered worldwide due to things like rating issues. One of the biggest cases of censorship last year being Nintendo's and Atlus's Tokyo Mirage Sessions, which had far too many changes made to its Western version to properly go into here, but is something that Nintendo explained as being due to requirements and regulations in the many different territories Nintendo distributes its products. In fact, various Nintendo games saw similar changes made in their Western localizations. This includes Fire Emblem Fates, which removed multiple revealing bikini costumes, removed a minigame involving petting characters' faces, as well as altering some controversial dialogue. However, whilst perhaps generating some of the most controversy, it wasn't games published by Nintendo that had the most changes last year. Borrowing places like China, where government-imposed censorship is very common, Censored Gaming recently took a look back and tallied up what games had what changes made to them. In the end, it was another big company that came out at top, this company being none other than the folks at Bandai Namco. Bandai Namco are well known for some popular games, including some big RPG franchises, as well as video games based around popular anime licenses. Both Japanese RPGs and anime games are quite a common target for changes during localization, either due to age ratings or the perceived differences in attitude towards certain types of provocative content. Additionally, last year saw Bandai Namco publish an especially large amount of these sorts of titles. One notable game being Dragon Ball Fusions for the 3DS, which had numerous changes over in the West, and is something we still do not have a proper explanation for. The most prominent of these changes was altering all characters' sword attacks so that they no longer use metallic swords, but instead wooden sticks, as shown here. Censored Gaming and others contacted the company, and whilst they confirmed that these changes had been made, they were unable to provide an explanation for why they did this, meaning that this is something that still to this day that is unknown. Another game from Bandai Namco based around a popular anime franchise is Digimon Heroes, a title that again had various changes made to its Western release, and is something that, despite reaching out to the company, something we still do not have a proper explanation for. For Digimon Heroes, which is a card game for mobile devices, large amounts of female Digimon artwork were changed to less suggestive designs. The changes made to the Western release of God Eater Resurrection, on the other hand, is something that we do have an explanation for. In this remastered release of the PSP's God Eater Burst, the blood effects during battle were toned down outside of Japan, with this being explained as being due to rating issues. This change affected both the US and European versions, and it is thought that due to the remastered graphics, the game may have raised up in rating in at least one territory that the game was released in. For reference, the game was released with a teen rating in North America and a 12 rating in Europe. Next up is an interesting case, however, of a game not being changed for its Western release, but actually the other way around. Sword Art Online Hollow Realization was released in Japan with a B rating, the equivalent of 12 years and up, but despite being rated by Japan's rating system, an update to the game was made which altered a cutscene showing characters bathing so that they are now wearing bathing suits. This change was not made to the Western versions, and is based on a scene from the light novel which also shows the characters without bathing suits. It is speculated that this incident may have been a rare case of something slipping by the Japanese rating system unnoticed, and then being removed to try and stop any controversy. Bandai Namco, however, has not made any official statement about this matter. Next is yet another game based around a popular anime license, this being the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure title Eyes of Heaven, a fighting game for PS3 and PS4. It was discovered that in the Western releases, one of Stroheim's costumes was completely removed, and with this being his default costume, the Western versions now use his alternate costume as the default. The costume was based on a Nazi soldier's uniform, and again Bandai Namco were unable to explain why they made this change. It is speculated though that this could be due to a German law that prevents the depiction of certain Nazi themes in video games. The costume may have been seen as too similar to authentic Nazi uniforms, which is something that is not allowed to be shown in games over in Germany. However, as mentioned, this change was made to all versions of the game outside of Japan, not just in Germany, and was something that Bandai Namco didn't talk about at all leading up to or following the game's release. The last game on the list though is something that in some ways shouldn't be included as it was released in January 2017. However, due to the censorship being announced and discussed much earlier than this, and with how close to 2016 it still was felt that it should still be included. The game in question is Tales of Berseria, which had an important cutscene altered that showed a young boy being stabbed by a sword. Outside of Japan, rather than being impaled by a sword, the boy now gets raised into the air by magic, and again attacked by magic. What's happening early on in the game, the scene gets shown again at multiple points throughout the story, as it's an important source of motivation for the protagonist. Unlike the previous examples though, Bandai Namco did announce and discuss these changes and explain that it would have raised the game's rating past a 16 rating. As they mentioned a 16 rating, this would mean it was either Europe's PEGI rating system or Germany's USK that would have been responsible, but as it was released in Germany with a 12 rating, this indicates that they meant the rest of Europe's PEGI. This also means that the original scene would have reportedly pushed the game's PEGI rating up to an 18+ rating. But there you go, that's who Censored Gaming has determined to have censored the most games in 2016. 2017 on the other hand has not seen these kind of changes from the company with the games that they've released. This year though has so far seen a large focus on Japanese only titles, games marketed for lower ages, as well as Bandai Namco's hugely anticipated Tekken 7 release. Censored Gaming will be sure to continue to keep track of things however, and keep you up to date whenever and wherever these types of changes and restrictions are made to games. Until next time, thank you for watching.